I think as long as you can tailor a KPI to a role, and then for you as the guy, as the, guider or guiding function of your business, like you said, sometimes less is more. And I think KPIs is definitely one of those. It kind of reminds me of coaching a little bit. Whenever I have a process that I go through when I coach soccer, and the day before games, I'll give a lot of points, 15, 20. And if you think of those as KPIs, key points that I'm trying to make, that's actually a lot to focus on, especially for an athlete. I've got these 20 things that I've got to really think about. That's a lot, but I try to do that the day before games just to kind of set the tone and give people an idea of where we're going, what we need to be aware of. And it's really that full, broad picture that's comprehensive in nature. But then when we get to game day and when we get to a halftime of a game or right before a game, I'm giving usually 2 points max. I will focus on 2 themes, and that's the only thing I will touch on. After the game, I will do a comprehensive review of everything. I'll go through all the points that I really had the urge to make beforehand, and at halftime, I'll say all those things at the end of the game. But in the game, I'm focusing on 2 things max. Usually it's 1, but sometimes it's 2.
Yeah.
And usually they're correlated to each other, so they're really easy to remember. And it's amazing how well that works for the guys to understand. I can ask them multiple times, what are we focused on today? And they know those 2 points by heart, right?
Yeah.
And,
Brilliant.
And I think that
And you won the state championship last year.
we did.
And you're likely to do it again
We're
this
trying
year.
to repeat.
Or at least
we're
you're
trying to repeat. But I think the value in that is as you work with your team, if you're sitting there talking about all these different KPIs, it gets confusing really fast. But if you're just focused on that one or those 2 KPIs, it gives them a really good sense of direction and where they stand. And so knowing where you stand is so valuable because it lets you course correct. It allows you to have a really good focus and feel like it's possible to achieve those 1 or 2 things.
And a quick way to think about it as we're wrapping up is that you have at least one meaningful KPI for the 4 areas of business. Okay. Leadership, we'll get to that in just a second, but accounting and sales, leads, generates, close, percentages. Your operations, it can be percent budget, it can be completed on time, it can be whatever is a meaningful KPI. Administrative stuff, of course, we're into margins and finance and all that. For leadership, I just thought of one. Delegation. I did a KPI a few years ago with a guy. He said, people drive me crazy. They're asking me questions. So I bought him a clicker on Amazon, and he had it in his pocket, one of those counter clickers. And I said, just every time somebody walks in your door and asks you a question, it could be anything, just click that button. And we had, I don't remember, it's been a long time, but he reduced it by more than half over a period of about a month and a half. But he had an objective. He had this clicker in his pocket that he reset, and he'd get 300 questions a day. Well, our saying about it takes 20 minutes to recover back to where you were in a difficult task after an interruption. Well, you're getting 300 questions. You're doing nothing. I mean, none of your own work. So
yeah,